Today's episode is brought to you by Coral Gables Trust Company, the largest independent and privately held trust company headquartered in South Florida with over $1.5 billion of assets under management and a leading provider of personalized creative wealth management, trust, and financial planning services throughout the state. To learn more, visit cgtrust.com. Hello, I'm Abby Maloney, and this is Invest Insights, where we interview executives who are shaping our communities today. In today's episode, I'm joined by Bud Scholl, the president and CEO of OneBlood and the mayor of Sunny Isles Beach. Bud, can you first start off by telling us, what is OneBlood?
OneBlood is a non-for-profit, and it is the third largest blood center in the country. There's the American Red Cross, and then there's independent blood centers like OneBlood. So we collect upwards of 1 million units of blood a year, and we have over 2,500 team members who are very dedicated and very vested in what they do. And we service from Charlotte, North Carolina, as far north as Charlotte, North Carolina, as far south as Key West. So we're the dominant blood supplier in the southeastern U.S.
Demand for plasma and blood donations remained high during the pandemic. What have been the challenges you have faced in collecting those donations, and what are the strategies that OneBlood is implementing to ensure that you're still obtaining the necessary donations?
So, Abby, the pandemic has had us turn into two tracks of the blood supply. One is convalescent plasma, and then one is the ongoing need for blood. The ongoing need for blood never stops. Pandemic, hurricane, people get sick, they need blood therapies, no question. Convalescent plasma added a whole new layer of complexity to what we do. Unfortunately, what the pandemic did was it closed a lot of the institutions that we typically collect blood at. For instance, 20% of the blood supply comes from high schools and universities. They're gone, okay? And so then what happened was then businesses started to shut down. We get a lot of support from the business community. And so many businesses that we would traditionally go to collect blood, they're working remotely, and we can't send the big red bus to everybody's house. You know, it's not economically viable. So it's been challenging. So the pandemic has indefinitely disrupted our traditional model for collecting blood. And so what we focus on is a sustained donor response for convalescent plasma and for blood. You know, we need donors to make blood donation kind of a part of their daily life. So if we can't find them, they can find us. Fortunately, they've been finding us. And so we've been able to sustain the blood supply. It's been challenging, but we've been doing it.
OneBlood has been testing the donations for the COVID-19 antibodies. What are you hoping to accomplish through this?
So testing for the COVID antibody, we were the first one in the first blood center in the country to basically test their donor pool on a widespread basis. So in testing for the antibody, we do two things. One is we give the donors interesting health information, valuable health information. A lot of donors are curious. The state will tell you the asymptomatic infection rate in Florida is run between 10 and 20%. So a lot of people have COVID and don't even know it, or they had COVID and didn't even know it because they're asymptomatic. When they come in to be a blood donor, we ask them, have you had COVID? They say no, they donate blood. And ironically, sometimes it turns out they had COVID, they didn't know it. So this is good information for them. The other track is, this has been information that the state of Florida has been able to aggregate. We've been working with the state so they can track the spread of these asymptomatics throughout the state. Not individual data, but aggregate data. And so it's been very helpful to our local health authorities in terms of tracking the virus.
Working environment has surely changed over the past number of months. How has the working environment at OneBlood changed? And what are some current innovations or developments that you think will be implemented in the post-pandemic world?
Like all companies, we took our office workforce and we basically said work from home. From my perspective, it's a double-edged sword. It works. We've had no issues with folks working from home. But for instance, I was on a call a few weeks ago with my senior team and I said, who met the new VP of HR? And nobody had met her. So my point is, I think the challenging part is maintaining a culture a social culture, a social fabric within your company and working from home. So I believe this will evolve into a hybrid model where we may be more accustomed to working from home in certain instances, and in certain instances it will be business as usual in the office. But I believe it will evolve, and I believe it will be very segmented by department. Depends upon what your department does, to the degree you work from home or work in the office. Within OneBlood, the bulk of our workforce, 80%, is in the field, is in our branches and in our mobiles. They don't have the opportunity to work from home.
How have you adapted your field operations?
So one of the first things I did was we recognized that our workforce, our field workforce, is going to be very challenged by the pandemic. A lot of single moms, a lot of folks with children. And so one of the first things we did was, instead of cutting back, we actually instituted what we call a mission premium. We've paid them a premium since the middle of March to basically help with the burdens of the pandemic on our external workforce, because we wanted them coming to work. So we knew they probably needed some additional resources for childcare. Maybe their spouse lost their job or is being furloughed. All the issues, we think individually, but this pandemic has wreaked havoc on families. And so what we've done is we've done a lot of economic innovations within OneBlood to support our team and keep them comfortable and keep them coming to work.
Bud, you're also the mayor of the city of Sunny Isles Beach. And in your discussion with our annual report, Invest Miami, you mentioned that Sunny Isles Beach is in a fortunate position of having a strong tax base and strong financials. How are you working to continue to see economic development in the city despite the challenges presented by the pandemic? And how are you maintaining projects during this time?
One of the things that happened was the governor did not stop construction. So we couldn't stop construction. But what we did was we imposed some stronger policies on construction, on our construction projects in the city, and the construction and developers absolutely adhered to them. So we never actually slowed down from a development standpoint in the city. The projects the city had ongoing and has ongoing, we've invested over $20 million to underground overhead utilities, new street lights, new hardscape. Actually, the pandemic mitigated traffic tremendously. We were working around traffic and working at night and spending extra money because of rush hour, and it actually worked in our favor in that standpoint, because we were able to increase the speed with which we've been doing some of these projects. Additionally, we built 2 pedestrian bridges, one over 163rd Street, one over Canal. We have 2 more in the hopper. We've created a new community center. All these got completed or built out during the pandemic. So in some ways, the pandemic has accelerated a lot of the things that we had planned or were planning to do, just simply because the infrastructure was easier to work with.
Obviously, 2020 has presented many challenges to everyone, and I think it's interesting that you wear both the private and the public hats. What have these past number of months taught you about resilience?
You need a good team. You need a good team that you can depend upon, and you need to let your team do their job. And when you come into a pandemic, if you don't have a rock solid team, or any disaster for that matter, you need a good team, you need good business continuity planning. We have an excellent BCP infrastructure, both at the city and at OneBlood. I've got a great team at the city, and I've got a great team at OneBlood. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have great people. And the fact is, and it goes from the top down, everybody's got to be invested and dedicated. And they have to know that you're there to support them as well. And so the one thing that this taught me was it absolutely reinforced my understanding that your team is everything. And you won't have resilience without a good team and a good plan. And so, that is my biggest takeaway here, is that you need strong business continuity planning and a very, very strong management team. And in both cases, I'm extremely fortunate to have both. I've got great people, and frankly, we're optimistic about the future.
Well, thank you again. That was Bud Scholl, the president and CEO of OneBlood and the mayor of Sunny Isles Beach. This episode was brought to you by Coral Gables Trust Company. Please see the description below for more information. My name is Abby Malone, and you've been watching Invest Insights. Thanks for tuning in. Hey everyone, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest business trends from our knowledgeable experts. Be sure to check out the description below for more information on the segment you just watched. Thanks for tuning in.